welcome to another edition of Ask the Chiropractor. I'm Dr. Brad Hulsebus, Chiropractor. So I'm a chiropractor here in Rockford, Illinois. I'm a graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic, and I am the Illinois representative for the International Chiropractic Association. And the point of this podcast is when people have a question for the chiropractor, I encourage them to ask a chiropractor, not a medical doctor, not a dentist or anybody else, because only chiropractors truly understand what chiropractors do. So people email me, people stop by the office, people send us messages, DM me, questions they have for the chiropractor. So today's chiropractic question is a little bit about chiropractic, but kind of a different question. The question is, with the season turning to winter, getting colder outside, and the ability to go to farmers markets and getting fresh produce and stuff starts to go away this time of year, what are a couple supplements and vitamins and things like that I should consider taking? Well, I don't like to take 50 different things. And I'm also not a natural pharmacist, meaning some patients will come to me and the patients will say, hey, what supplement would I take for this? Or what supplement do I need for this or that? Well, I'm not a big fan of replacing pharmaceuticals with natural supplements. I mean, I'd rather have a natural supplement than a pharmaceutical, don't get me wrong, but that's a little bit outside of my realm and my scope. What I'm going to talk about today is the basic things that we need to take because maybe, let's say, our food source doesn't offer this anymore, or maybe because, here in Northern Illinois, these things just aren't available to us this time of year anymore. So let's break it down. I have a list down to 3 things, and 2 of them you can combine. So let's talk about the very first one. When people say, Dr. Hulsebus, I want to start getting better. What's a good supplement I can take? I don't really want to take a lot. I only want to take 1 to start with. I always give the same answer, and that's an easy answer, and that would be omega-3 fish oil. Omega-3s are very, very important. Now, we used to get omega-3s when we used to eat grass-fed cattle, wild-caught fish, but as we all know, these things are getting harder and harder to find. I mean, we all believe that tilapia is a good thing to eat, but unfortunately, almost every tilapia you'll come across is farm-raised. And that means they raise them in a pen out in the middle of the ocean, they feed them grains, and they're just not as healthy as they used to be. Even farm-raised salmon. Any salmon from the Atlantic Ocean is an endangered species, so they don't really serve them for lunch, right? You don't get to eat endangered species. So almost any salmon out of the Atlantic Ocean. And when they farm-raise the salmon, they don't turn the orange color that we're used to. So they literally dye them to make them that color. So because of this, we're forced to supplement. And so I like taking a good quality fish oil supplement. Now, what does fish oil do? A lot of times you'll hear it's good for my cholesterol. You might hear it's good for my skin, different things. But let me tell you what it actually does. You see, we're full of grains. The same with most of the meat that we eat today is full of grains. So we have to supplement this omega-3. And what happens is when you have omega-3s and omega-6s, omega-6s come from our plant sources, and they're good too, but we're supposed to have 2 to 1, 3s to 6s. And most of us are 20, you can't see my hands probably, but it's 25 to 1 the opposite way. So the 2 to 1 is 1 to 25 or 1 to 20. Anytime you're over like 1 to 20, you're already in a state of autoimmune disease because the omegas have a lot to do with how we react to inflammation. So we have inflammation all the time. You go for a long walk, you get mild inflammation in your knees, your hips, and your feet just from walking. But inflammation isn't really a bad thing. It's the fact that we're hyper-inflammatory, meaning that we do too much inflammation, that's a bad thing. Inflammation is actually part of the normal healing process. But because when you're out of whack, when you have way too many omega-6s, not enough omega-3s, your inflammation becomes exaggerated. That's what we call hyper-inflammatory. And so when you're walking around hyper-inflammatory, your body goes into a state of stress or fight and flight. And that makes your body, when you go into fight and flight, that makes things like you have high cholesterol, insulin problems, stuff like that. So what omega-3 does is it doesn't necessarily fight cholesterol, but it helps keep the inflammation down, which keeps the stress down, which keeps the fight and flight down, which brings the cholesterol down. So yeah, it's hard to find a direct cause in reality with inflammation and cholesterol. But you'll find that it's a real thing and it does exist once you draw the whole puzzle together. So I do recommend taking fish oil. Now, I'm not a big fan of flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil is better than nothing, but there's 6 essential amino acids we need out of omega-3s. Plant-based only have 4 of the 6. In order to get the other 2, you pretty much have to have a meat product. That's why I like fish oil. When you buy your fish oil, I know someone's going to say, oh, I don't want to eat fish oil. It burps and that tastes nasty. I tell you, you gotta buy a better quality fish oil, because the stuff I get, I don't taste that at all. So make sure you get high quality stuff. Don't go for the giant bin for $5. Go for the good quality stuff. Look at them. Go to a real store to buy them too. Don't buy them in the store that sells car parts, clothing, and everything else. Maybe go to a store that's only like a natural grocery store. Like here in our community, we have one called Choices. That's where I send people, is Choices Health Food Store. They have good quality fish oil over there. Otherwise, talk to your healthcare provider. I mean, I have access to one here that we're happy to help our patients get. So talk to your provider. Make sure you get a good quality fish oil. Good quality fish oil don't taste bad. Bad quality fish oil tastes really bad. So talk to your provider and make sure you get the right one. All right, so that's one. Number two is just a good daily vitamin, right? You should just take a good daily vitamin. Ideally, when you read the book Body by God by Dr. Ben Lerner, a chiropractor, he has the idea that when you eat breakfast in the morning, it should be mostly carbs, because you're just waking up, you need fuel. So you want to have like your good high quality oatmeal, chia seed pudding, stuff like that, good quality carbs. Lunch, now your body's firing on all cylinders, you're all warmed up and revved up. You should have like a big salad, because now you're going to get all the vitamins and minerals from your salad. You're going to do really good. And then for dinner, you should have protein. You should have protein for dinner, because at night when you're sleeping, your body heals and repairs itself. So a good high quality protein at night will help your body get the building blocks it needs to repair and deal with some of that inflammation we were just talking about, right? So good quality protein for dinner. Then you could take 25% of that meal and carry it over the next meal. So it's okay to have an egg with your oatmeal. It's okay to have some berries in your salad. And it's okay to have some asparagus with your chicken. All right, so that makes sense? So a good high quality vitamin. I take mine at lunchtime for the reason I just gave you, because that's where you're going to absorb the most stuff. So I take a good high quality vitamin right at lunchtime. And really look at the quality of your vitamin too. Like mine comes from whole food sources, so it's easy to digest, it's easy to absorb. It doesn't really matter if you take a really vitamin with 1,000 things in it if you don't absorb it. So really look at the absorption rate. And on the side note, me personally, I don't like copper in my vitamins. We have copper in our system, we need to use it, but we really don't lose it. Like we don't shed copper. That's not something human beings do. No matter what you're doing, you don't really shed copper. So you don't really need to keep replacing copper. But I like to study the brain injuries and the head traumas, dementia, Alzheimer's. And there is a real trend with these people who suffer from this stuff for having really high levels of copper. So I try not to put any extra copper in my system at any cost. So I get a good high quality vitamin with no copper. So there's the two I told you about, right? Fish oil, good quality vitamin. The third one is more important the later in the year it gets, in the wintertime and stuff like that, and that's vitamin D3. I always say not R2, D2, but D3. Make sure you get your D3. You see, D1 and D2, that's the stuff that's in your milk products, your dairy stuff, and that helps you absorb the calcium. So that way later on you get osteoporosis and calcium in your bones. That's a different story for a different time. Avoid osteoporosis, more magnesium, Epsom salt baths. Check back with me, I'll talk about that a different time. But in order to get the vitamin D3, it's different than the one in your dairy products. What you need to do is you need to spend the equivalent to a half an hour a day outside your swimsuit. If you're not spending the equivalent to a half an hour a day outside your swimsuit, you need to supplement vitamin D3. And I recommend 2,000 units a day, 5,000 units if you're not feeling well. Now for me, I get my vitamin D3, it's in my fish oil. Why is it in my fish oil? It's very important. In order to absorb vitamin D3, in order to get it from your mouth, through your stomach wall, into your body, it must be taken with a healthy fat. That's the best way of absorbing it. So I've had patients come in with actually prescription-based vitamin D3, and it's like in a white pill. I'm like, there's no oil there, there's no healthy fat with that. That's a complete waste of time. So make sure you get it either, like I have one that's a little medicine dropper, it's a straight vitamin D3. What I do is I do my fish oil with my vitamin D3, and if I'm not feeling good, I'll take a couple extra drops that day. But you want to do your vitamin D3, you want to get 2,000 units a day. Now you can overdose on vitamin D3, but don't worry, we're not very good at absorbing it. You'd have to really try hard to do that. You can have too much vitamin D3. That's sun poisoning, that's vitamin D3. Now, if you're not going to do the above, or maybe you have small children that don't want to take this fish oil and this and that, another little trick I've talked about before is going to the pet store and buying a UVB, as in boy, a UVB light. Plug that in. Don't have a lampshade on it, just have an exposed light bulb. UVB is what we get from the sun that makes vitamin D. So you can kind of mimic that with a pet store light. So if you're somebody that goes to the doctor once a year, they say your vitamin D3 is low, your vitamin D3 is low, you're taking supplements, you're doing this stuff, what you actually might need is a UVB light. And again, you get those at the pet store for reptiles. The quality of the light's the exact same. You won't know which one's the vitamin B light, which one's the normal light. So just go and take a look at that. So there you have it. There's my big three. Omega-3 fish oil, a good daily vitamin. Lastly, vitamin D3 in a healthy fat, in an oil. Do your vitamin D3 the same time you eat your eggs, your avocados, do your fish oil. So do it all at the same time. Maximize your absorption rate. Again, I do most of these at lunchtime because that's when my body's running 100% efficient and the best it can. That's when I'll do the best job absorbing them. Taking them and not absorbing them doesn't do you any good. So there you go. Not really like chiropractic, not really about the spine or how we adjust people, but just some good knowledge we like to give patients because remember, you get subluxated, your back goes out from thoughts, traumas, and toxins, right? So toxins can be deficiencies. So I'm trying to address some of the deficiencies you might get by talking about the things that we should all have. So I hope you learned something. I hope you got something. Come back next week. We'll do this again. If you have a question or a topic you'd like to see me address, like this topic here, just leave me a message below. I'll do my best, and maybe next week you're the Ask the Chiropractor question of the week. Until then, I'm Dr. Brent Hulsebus. Check us out at Rockford, DC, ROCKDC.com, ROCKFORDDC.com, excuse me there. Check us out right there, and all these previous blogs, there's a search there, so if it's a topic maybe you missed, you want to hear me talk about, it might already be there. Just take a look at it, check it out. Other than that, stay healthy, stay strong, and we'll see you next time on Ask the Chiropractor. Thank you.